now we're going to talk about home traction. And first of all, when we talk about that, we need to go over the head harness. That's the challenging part for the patient. As you put the head harness on, they should remember that as they go to put the strap on, the straps that are hanging down, that portion of the head harness should face them. So they should be hanging down toward them. That portion goes on the back of the head, and then that leaves the chin portion for the front. Now normally on the chin portion, what we would do is have you take a Kleenex, and they could do this at home or not do that, depending on what they want, but at least show them with it. Have a Kleenex on the inside part so that it's under their chin, then it's not as rough on them. And you'll have them put their finger there to stabilize that. You'll then bring the front part around and simply Velcro it, depending on what size the person's neck is. And then, after doing that, you'll have them let go and just pull up to see if they're feeling somewhat of an equal pressure, if they're feeling it more on one side or the other. Do you feel equal? Okay, and then I would just tell them that, to have them fasten the straps so that they feel it equal, because that's what you'll want them to do when they're on the traction at home. And you'll pull up equally like this. Okay? Now, this time, what we're going to do is undo this, and we're going to have you put this on. So I'll give this to you. First of all, which part faces you?
The side with the straps.
Okay.
And then that side goes on the back of my neck, and the other side comes around.
There's your Kleenex there.
Kleenex.
Okay.
Put that under my chin.
Now, one of the things you'll want to tell them is that when they put this on at home, they won't have the benefit quite yet of having the pull on it. So it will be a little bit different for them, okay? Then you'll hold that in position and Velcro it. Okay, the back of the head part you want to catch the base of their skull. Then you'll have them pull it up and hook their finger in the ring, so it'll be like the traction unit, and see if they feel an equal pull. Do you feel an equal pull?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then they'll be ready. Okay, so that's what you want to do to make sure that they understand how to put this on. Okay, now as far as explaining the traction unit itself, we'll explain to them that the traction unit comes in a box like this. We generally don't open it for the patient, open the one the patient is taking home, because once it's opened, it's hard to get it all back together again. So consequently, we'll show them a demonstrating model, and that's what this one is. Now I'm going to pretend that Leah is the patient, and I'll set this on her lap, and we'll go through the different parts of the traction unit. First of all, why are we using a new one? This is a new one. So, what I would do, and I'll do this anyway since we're going to be reusing this thing. What I think we can do to save that is save this box, and I think as this is done we can just put this back, but say take the harness, we can order another harness.
I had Jackie call him yesterday.
Great, and then we'll have, this will be back together again, but it's good, that's a good idea for showing this. Okay, first of all, is it on now?
Yeah, but you're missing a wheel.
Okay, first of all, this is the part that goes over the top of the door, and it will strap on so that the door goes underneath this groove right here. This little notch right here and the hole that is right here are the ones that this device fits into. When you get the device out, it should have on two pulleys, or if they don't, they may have to load one of the pulleys on. And they are stopped from moving by little notches that are in the metal rod. Then, as they fasten this into this piece, they'll first put in the one that is on the top part, and they'll have to turn it to get it to go in, because it has a hook on it that will keep it from sliding. As they do that, it'll then latch itself so that it will not come out easily. Then they would simply squeeze the bottom part and put it into the hole, and it will click into the hole. So this is actually what the device looks like when it's going to be on the door, with the door here and the device sticking away from the door and the person sitting under this portion of the device. So that's the first setup that they'll want to know. Then the rope will come up through one pulley, they'll feed it through the other pulley, and two ends of the rope will hang down, one back by the door and one near the front where the person's going to be seated. The rope will tie onto two different parts.
Where's the weight?
One part so this came without a weight, huh? Interesting, huh?
It's gonna be fun editing this part, isn't it?
Okay, was this part with it, or was this part?
I just pulled that out of the one in the office,
Okay, so this one came without a weight.
apparently.
Okay, then we'll have to have her
Send it
call
back
on that.
anyways.
Yeah, call it, tell them we missed a weight.
12 minutes left, okay.
Okay, so the rope attaches to two different parts. One is to the hook on this device, and the other is to the hook on the weight bag. The weight bag goes next to the door, and this device is underneath, is above where the patient sits, and will be the part that the patient hooks the head harness to. The head harness has two hooks on it. One that you'll hook on one side, and one that you'll hook on the other side. I generally recommend that they hook it on the middle one, usually, but you go by the patient's head size. The bigger the head, the farther out they hook it. And that's the reason for the 3 notches, so that they have room on the sides of the head. So, basically, with the door behind, they're going to be sitting like this. The weight bag down low, near the floor, and the head harness sitting up where they are to hold their head. And the traction actually comes from this part, with the weight of the bag pulling downward to traction it. Oh, I'll say one other thing, sorry. Okay, when we do this, we will write on the box a diagram of what I've just said, and we'll have that as a part of our material so that you'll know the picture to draw, because they need to remember this at home. I'll want you to draw a straight line for a door, draw something that's hooked over the top of the door with a little emblem showing this instrument, the 2 pulleys. You'll want to draw a square showing the bag and a rope going from the bag through the other pulley, and then down to that little V-shaped device, and then the head harness with the person sitting under it and sitting on a chair. And then we will write or tell you what to write on the box for the amount of time and the poundage and the frequency that they should do this. And they should be it should be stressed to them that traction is not to hurt. If it hurts, then it means they're doing too hard, or something is set up wrong, or they may not be the proper candidate for it. We want them to stop and talk to the doctor about it before they do it again. Also, we want to stress to them that they need to sit directly vertical underneath the rope where this device is hanging and their head harness is attached to. It should be directly over their head. If anything, if they're feeling too much stress on their chin from the head harness, then they can slide slightly closer to the door and angle it so it's in front and their head is going in slight flexion as they do the traction. But they should never go backwards into the traction. Okay, thank you.